Welcome to another episode of the Ticklish. Hey, don't do that. The Ticklish Travel. Welcome to another episode of the Ticklish Traveler and his travel tales. Don't do that. Well, hey diddle diddle, everybody. Don't forget about the fiddle. There are some good old country artists: Jim Reeves, Billy Walker, Charlie Walker, Eddie Arnold. Just don't forget about these fellas. All right. Well, speaking about not forgetting about somebody, I'm going to go way back. I mean, way back to third grade. Back when the teachers used to wear them little mini dresses. And I remember that was the first time in public that let's keep it a clean show. Okay, so Brett Rowe, he was a little guy. When he grew up, I mean, he was just tough as nails, like Bronco Nagurski and all that bunch. So anyway, here's Brett Rowe, friend of mine, third grade, and Mrs. Rish, the teacher, who wore that little sexy mini dress. She had a very famous painting, and she was showing it to everybody and trying to get us involved in artwork. Brett Rowe tells Robert Gardner, "Cut that painting right in half, and I'll give you $1." Robert Gardner gets up, sharpens a pencil, and he takes a razor blade that Brett Rowe gave him, and he cut that painting right in half. And he put his hand out, and Brett Rowe says, "Here's your doll hair," and he pulled the doll hair from this girl's desk. And they're arguing. And this Rich, she put her hands over her face. She was crying. Oh, my painting. You can't believe all this stuff that happened back then. My goodness. So anyway, boy, was there hell to pay about that one. Anyway, Brett Rowe, as I said, he was a little guy. We were older now in high school. And he puts my brother's football helmet on. And he goes right in, head first into the garage door. Oh, man. Then he again. Right again. Well, my mom came home that afternoon from work, and she couldn't open the garage door. No wonder she didn't want everybody hanging around the house all the time. So anyway, old Brett Rowe moved. After high school, he moved down to Los Angeles. And I heard he got mugged. Some guy mugged him in an alley. Well, Brett Rowe was a good wrestler, like Tyson, them guys. And he took this mugger, and he did a gainer on him. And he threw the guy down, and he hurt the guy's arm, and he took the wallet back the guy robbed him, and Brett Rowe robbed the mugger. Oh, boy. That was just an old story of an old friend that used to come over all the time. And we used to go around the neighborhood, and we'd swipe Christmas lights, and then Brett Rowe would just throw them right in front of the guy's driveway that we just stole them from. And I remember one guy come out, and he had his pajamas on, and Brett Rowe tackled him, and he put him in one of them wrestling moves, and the guy was screaming, "Martha, help!" Rowe was probably, I don't know, 14. He was a grown man. He was making him cry. Oh, all this just because I saw a fella downtown that looked like my old friend from many, many years ago. And I just thought I'd share all these memories. Hope you enjoyed it. Okay. Fella. Well, over done again, everybody. Hello. It's time once again for Nuggets of the Century. That's right. This is going to be a greatest hits of Nuggets of the Week. Story number 1. When I arrived here at my rental in Nebraska, I was having a coffee, which I brought, and some cookies, which I brought. Me and the lady were sitting around getting to know one another. And I told her I was Serbian, family both sides, and she says to me, "Serbians are rapists and murderers. I saw it on the news. They murdered people in the war." Really? I said, what do you think the Croatians and the Bosnians did to the Serbs when they had stronger armies? Bake them cakes? Read them Betty Bice stories? Really? That's ridiculous. Hard to believe. So then she went downstairs, she clammed up, and for my listeners in Zambezi, clammed up means she shut her mouth like a clam and said nothing. The next morning, she felt bad. She said, I didn't mean to say that. I said, yeah, but you did. And I said, well, let me ask you this. Where's your family? She said, we're Germans. I rest my case on that story number 1. Okay, story number 2. I was riding around a small American town on a clinky bicycle, and I was hungry. And there's a food warehouse in this particular town, and they give the food to the pantries, which were closed this particular day, and I was hungry. It was a blustery day, and I went out because I like those days. So I went to the side door and opened it. I walked in, nobody was in there but one older white guy. He had the gray hair and glasses, it works. So I walked up behind him, and I guess I startled him. I said, don't worry, mister, I'm just hungry. I come in here to get some food. So he grabbed the phone, and I go, who you calling? I don't have the authority to give you food. Yeah, you do. I'm a human being who's hungry. I'm on a $10 bicycle, and from the vehicles I saw coming here last week getting food, they all had $10,000 tires. Okay, so just give me a couple of boxes of crackers, a little oranges, and I'll go. And he had the phone in his hand still. I said, what are you doing, mister? I don't have the authority. Yeah, you do. You're a human being, and I'm a human being. This is a food warehouse, and it's packed from wall to wall, floor to ceiling. I says, I tell you what. This shelf over here, it's full of boxes of crackers and a little cups of oranges, like a teacup. I'm going to take these crackers and these oranges, and if you want to call the cops and tell them I held you up, go right ahead. I came back where I was staying. I said, hey guys, look, I just held up a food warehouse. Oh, they thought I was serious. I held the crackers in my hand. Here's my getaway. To be denied food. And the guy wasn't going to give it to me. He said, I just can't. I don't have, again, the authority. I said, man, this is ridiculous. So that's story number 2. I held up a food pantry and took cracker. All right. Story number 3. We're going to go back to the cookie. There's a fella here. He's working where I'm staying in Work, Nebraska. And he's putting a shed together for this lady out in the back. So he comes in. He's real polite. He takes his shoes and muddy socks off and leaves them on the front porch. And he's sitting there in the chair. And he's staring at an open bag of cookie. Chocolate chip. Double dip. Double delicious cookies. So I walk upstairs. I go, hey, anybody offer the guy a cookie? How about a cup of coffee, fella, and have some cookies? And I told a lady, Myrna, where I'm staying, and the other guy, go, these cookies are yours. Anybody comes over, they're welcome to eat my cookies. So the guy goes, great, thanks. He was offered nothing by the lady who owns the home. And when I offered him a cookie and coffee, he was real happy. And he goes to grab the cookie. She says, those are no good. They're too soft and too chocolatey. You gotta be... Really ridiculous. I can't believe that. And this lady, she eats seaweed and drinks pea water in a bottle. That's just hard to believe. Okay, that's that's story number 3. Okay, fella.
This public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
The scripture says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. We got to be pure in our body. You've got to give physical strength, and you've got to eat proper food. Without that, you won't have the health that you should have. And taking in these dopes and the drinking, you're a loser. But if you follow the scriptures and walk according to its teaching, you'll have a healthy body and a healthy soul and a healthy outlook in eternity. And by the way, as death approaches, according to scriptures, I'll be as happy as a little child a few days before Christmas.
Yeah, Phil, I tell you who was a no good crook and all, that was that Chester Arthur. Hayes fired him. And then his family Biblia fell apart, and he lied about his age in the new Biblia. Hey, man, here comes the boss, man. Well, Dober Dawn again. Everybody, hello. I'm going to take you back a few years. I was singing my way out of one of them Serbian towns with a friend of mine, Danilo Vucic, and his mother, Danica. And yours truly was in the back of this clinky old car as we were just crawling down that old country road. All those rich fancy cars, they were whizzing by us. Nothing flat. Even the tractor farmers, they were going by us. We were going so slow. I remember even a grasshopper jumped up on our hood and kept going. And old Danny Lowe, he just kept saying, Jetsis, Jetsis. His hands on the steering wheel. And this dude was extra white. Oh man, was he white like milk. He made Larry Bird look like a Puerto Rican. Man, this guy, he was he was surely enjoying that country ride with his mother and me. Yum, 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 yum. We were all eating snack hams and cheese and everything, and we pulled over and sat off into the grass, and him and his mom and me, we had a groovy old time. I didn't even know where we were going. All I know is I was with some friends, and he was a young fella, and this guy looked like he was from Martian. I mean, he had a real pointy chin, like a pencil. And his eyeballs were real sunken in. You couldn't even tell if he had eyeballs. And it's what you call his eyelashes. They were real, like Herman Munster, man. His forehead just was real far over his eyeballs. And he had funny looking elbows. So this guy, and he was real skinny. So we showed up after driving for several hours in a hot Serbian summer day. And we got out to a swimming pool area. That's where we were going. Him and his mom were laughing. So they showed up at the gate, and he started talking. He had a real high voice. And most of the Serbs, they talk like Richard Boone, and that guy on Get Smart, and Gregory's Peck, and all them guys. Well, not this fella. He had a real squeaky voice, like a little kid or a woman. And like I said, he looked like a Martian with that pointy chin. And his mom, she took off and she ran across that swimming pool area, and there was a whole bunch of kids staring at her, and she hid behind the trash can. So Danny boy, he took off after his mom, and the pretty girl with the nice bikini on, oh boy, did she fill that out. Anyway, this girl, she wanted to know what's going on. Oh, Glumats. Oh, Glumats actors. Yeah, and I pointed to myself, director. New York director. And they fell for it. They thought we were putting on like some kind of a play for them or something like that. Like it was a circus in town. So I paid, and I walked in, and old Danny boy, his mom was waving with her hand. It was almost like some Addams family, like Adamovich or something like that. So old Danny boy, he took his white t-shirt off, and again, this guy was just pure milky white, man. And all the kids were staring at him, and he's walking around, and he's got his Bunuggy undies on. His mom's walking around with no shoes, and she's got these black nylons on, and she's got extra makeup. And I'm telling you, man, it was like it was like a Halloween show or a circus. Circus. Yeah. Everybody was staring at him. One little fat-faced kid, he went, whoop, he fell right into that hot pool, and I had to dig him out and lift him up. His dad was slapping him, telling him not to stare. And I had a good time with old Danny Lowe and his mom. We went swimming, and he a little bit best he could, and we had a little bit more cheese, and we're sitting there eating cheese like a pack of Okies from Grapes of Wrath and all that, and everybody was still staring at us. And I walked up to one of those girls and I asked if I could have a little drink, and she said, Judden, oh yeah, she spoke English, sure, and she went and got me some Pepsi, and she was talking, what's these people? I says, yeah, they're very famous actors from New York, and they just escaped from a circus, and boy, she was all attentive. And there's old Danny Boy walking around in his white underwears. And his mom had this bathing suit like from the 1920s with these big black thick nylons on. Oh boy, did I have fun with those guys. And then we went a little bit further, and we were chucking rocks at some ducks, and we had a good time. And then I remember another time I went with this guy and his mom. Again, it was in the summer, somewhere's in Serbia. I don't know where. He had this car, and I kept offering, nope. You're our guest. You're our guest. He wouldn't accept nothing. I did get to bring a little bit of candy one time. In fact, I brought candy both times. This guy, he was real good-hearted, like most Serbian people. He just loved to share. Okay? Like, I've been trying to tell you guys, when you go over there, share. You don't have to be, buying somebody dinner. Just give them something, Anyway, so me and old Danny Lowe, we take off again, and I had a slingshot. And man, did he have fun shooting that slingshot. I put a can up, and I hit that can first time with a rock, and he took the slingshot. He shot me right in the guzica, which is where you sit down. Oh man, his mom was walking around and smiling, and she was singing. We were on some beach area, and I went swimming where you weren't supposed to. I guess there was guys fishing there, and they were hollering at me. And Danilo's mom, Danica, she got up and started hollering back. She was a real pretty woman, and they had this real small flat, and there's people screaming all around them, so they just liked getting out for the whole day, which we did. And we did go a couple more times. I don't know exactly how many times we went, but that was a big thing for my friends and me to go in that clunky old car. And again, those guys, they wouldn't accept any money for petrol, nothing. And we went and went and went. One time, I think we drove all the way to the Romanian border, and we went swimming there. I think maybe that's where I shouldn't have swam. I don't remember, but I just had a good time, and I thought I'd share this story with everybody. Okay, fella.
Stuff. We love stuff, and there's some really great stuff out there. But I doubt that any of us will look back on our lives and think, I wish I'd bought an even thinner TV, found a lighter light beer, or had an even smarter smartphone. Do you think any of us will look back in our lives and regret the things we didn't buy? Or the places we didn't go?
Well, hello again, everybody. We're done. Hey, listen, I'm going to give you part 2 of that Danilo story. I just had too much gall darn fun with him and his mom. But I did forget to mention a couple things in that first story. I did have a big giant Super Ball, and when everybody was staring at us when we first arrived, I took that ball and I powered it into the ground. And it went up, 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 and disappeared. No. It just, where that Super Ball came back down, and I caught it right in my pocket. and all those little kids, their mouths were full, and that thing went about 100 feet up in the air. And I felt really like a ringleader of a circus. Yeah, that was fun. Another thing was, when Donnie Lo and his mom were chasing each other around, she did have a lot of makeup on. It started to run down the side of her face. It was all black on the side and streaks, and then there was big patches of blue on her. She looked like an Apache that was ready to attack Fort Hood. So we had a whale of a time. And then we did go a couple of days later. It was even a hotter day in that Serbian summer. And it was the Romanian border we went to. And boy, that was the second day I brought candy bars. And boy, were they sore. They didn't want me to bring anything. Nothing, and again, nothing. So we went swimming and slingshot. Well, then, the third time we went, that's the story I want to tell you. We went and had another picnic out somewhere in just some open field, and it was just pure blue sky. And my friend Donnie Lo, the guy looked like a Martian. He's running around in his underwears. He was chasing birds and screaming and hollering. And I was feeding his older mother some grapes by hand. She was just laying on my stomach. I felt like, I don't know, like we all belonged on an album cover from the late 60s or something. So there we were having a groovy old time. And we didn't go to the pool. The third trip out in the country, the Serbian country, we went to visit Savo Sukletić and his wife Slađana. These were very big people. They were from Montenegro. They were friends of Donnie Lo, and they didn't give a crud how he looked, and neither did I. So we were just having a great time, driving and singing, and we were right on the cusp of the Romanian border. We went in this little small village town, the three of us, and here comes Savo Sukletić out of this big gate, this big giant man. He talked so heavy you could hardly understand him. We went in the backyard and we started eating flap cakes. And Slađana Sukletić, she's just giving us a big giant stack of pancakey. Oh man, you could have went and climbed up that thing and put a flag up like a egg emoji and all them. And we had a good time. And then Slađana came back, this old Montenegrin lady. Donnie Lo, I, and his mother, we hammered that whole stack of flap cakes. It was gone. And I'm telling you, man, you could have filled a trash can with these things. And her mouth got big. Hey, Savo, look at that guy's ate all the pancakes. I got some more. And the guy brought us a whole big chunks of meat. Boy, we had a good time. It's in back there. And then everybody started singing Glenn Campbell songs. Oh, that was really groovy, man. And his wife, Miss Sukletić, she sat down in this chair and, man, that thing fell and she fell down and her slippers fell off and she was kicking her feet up in the air, this big giant woman, and we were all laughing. we were all laughing. I lifted her up in the air, back on her feet, and we all started dancing and singing some more. And that guy, that Savo Sukletić, he was roasting some lamb for us, and we were drinking a couple of beers, and I smoked cigarettes with them, and they were showing me all these photos of where they grew up in the mountains. And, and then the next day, we spent the night. The next morning, we all went to some little river. Again, I went swimming over there, and I was chucking rocks. And again, those fishing guys got mad at me, and there was a big argument. And Donnie Lo, he's just running around in his underwear. He didn't care. His mom had that 1920s bathing suit on, and she still had her black, thick nylons on. And this Savo Sukletić and his wife, they didn't go swimming. They were just talking to another couple that they knew from down their village. And I was shooting a slingshot straight up in the air. Oh boy, we just had a ball. Everybody that was there was probably 40 people on this little beach area, Serbia-Romanian border, and they were all shooting my slingshot, and everybody was sharing food. They were all singing and laughing, and it was just a lot of fun back, not that long ago. I'd say probably 4 or 5 years ago, and we're in 2022 now, and That was one of my favorite people. This is Donnie Lovucic and his mother. And I hope everybody can meet fun people like that. Okay, fella.